Hi, this is Dr. Deborah Zucker, and welcome to our module on personal sustainability. Before I launch into the teaching with you today, I want to take a moment here to introduce myself. And introduce myself beyond the fact that I'm a naturopathic physician, but what this module really means to me, and why I've created it for you in the way that I have. So what I wanted to share is that this topic of personal sustainability is a direct translation of my own health journey, which for me has been at the center of the deepest transformation and awakening in my life. I have run myself into the ground. I navigated chronic fatigue for many years, and through that, I've come to know intimately what true health really is, and also what it takes to integrate care for myself at the center of how I move through life. In other words, I've been actively living the experiment of coming to know what personal sustainability really is. So in designing this course for you, these are my expectations of what you should be able to know and do by the end of this module. Assess your current terrain of health. Discuss the deeper context of personal sustainability. Describe the transformative journey of health. Apply your learning of the 8 ingredients of personal sustainability to your daily life. Design an experiment to explore how to create and sustain health-promoting habits. And generate clear commitments with concrete steps to prioritize your self-care in an ongoing way. The module's made up of 4 videos. This is the first. And the first video is really going to be an introduction to the topic, as well as guide you into a self-assessment process to really look at where you're currently at now. The second video is about health as a transformative journey, which is going to begin to take you into the new territory. Video 3 is made up of the 8 key ingredients that I've come to see that essentially serve as guideposts to that new territory of health, which is all about personal sustainability. And the fourth video is about clarifying your commitments. In other words, it's about incorporating your learning in a really grounded way into your daily life moving forward. So my invitation to you is that you really give yourself over to this learning. What you'll be introduced to in this module has the potential to dramatically impact the rest of your life if you choose to allow it to. So as with any transformative learning, it's up to you how fully you show up and how fully you open to what's here for you to receive. And my invitation is for you to treat this learning here as sacred, to really give yourself the gift of committing your full presence whenever you're watching these videos or engaging with the integration practices, that you choose to be here fully, starting right now. And I just want to add to that, we live in an age of masterful multitasking. And so if you choose to take me up on this invitation, put aside the distractions, close the door, turn off the radio, and allow yourself to choose this one thing as if it's a meditation, because in a sense that's what I'm offering here, is a meditation on life, to really awaken and tune in to what really matters for you in life. So on that note, what's this topic of personal sustainability really about? For me, what I'm standing in and what I'm offering here to you is a call to action for all of us to consciously cultivate the foundation in ourselves that we need to serve the world. And I'll be offering guidance on how to come into a place of ease, empowerment, and aligned clarity with how to care for yourself for the long haul. And I see this as a transformative journey, a journey to revitalize and awaken your relationship with health and come into a new inner guidance system for life itself. And with any transformative journey, we need to begin where we are. So I just want to throw a few questions out to you now to begin to ground this topic in you. And just to see for yourself, as I say these questions, what's evoked in you. If you want to pause the video and do a little writing, I always highly encourage that. But at the minimum, just to take them in and see what's evoked. So in considering the topic of personal sustainability, what criteria would you use to assess whether you are supporting your fullest potential for the long-term future? How would you describe your current relationship with caring for yourself? In what ways do you currently feel empowered and clear in your health journey? And in what ways do you feel confused, in avoidance, or playing out self-sabotaging behaviors? So we need to start where we are. This is the current terrain. And so as I talk through my sense of some of the patterns that are very common for us all to have these days, just see what resonates, what feels like, oh, yes, I see that. If I'm honest with myself, that's very much part of my patterning. And if it doesn't resonate, let it go, but continue to stay open to really exploring what's there for you, because that's what this is about. So what I would say is that for most of us, particularly those of us who are really oriented around serving in the world and are, the change makers, the visionaries, the conscious entrepreneurs, our genuine impulse to serve is very often disconnected from an orientation of personal sustainability. We can limit our sleep or take substances to get through the day or sacrifice the things we most love in order to be of service. And in fact, that kind of orientation is really highly reinforced, in both spiritual circles as well as, in terms of just the general busy kind of culture that really reinforces working hard for long hours and running ourselves down in the process. So even if we're trying to be healthy, most of us struggle with our capacity to truly care for ourselves. And what that looks like often is that we relate with long mental lists of all the things that we're supposed to be doing to be healthy. And these days, we can get spun around so much by the constantly changing theories of the new wonder cures or the best diet or the exercise we're supposed to do or supplements we're supposed to take. It changes constantly. And there's kind of like this anxious quality I see of so many of us trying to keep up and know what it is we're supposed to be doing. So we look to the experts to tell us what to do, and we get disconnected from our own inner wisdom or knowing. And we get spun around with shame and confusion and avoidance and self-sabotage. They all get intertwined together inside of us. And whether or not we may feel proud because we have, we identify with being someone who takes good care of ourselves, or we feel ashamed and like, we're not doing a good job of taking care of ourselves, our orientation is one of constant self-assessment and management. And what I would say with that is that with that orientation and all these things I've been naming, just to give a bit of a picture and a feel for what we consider to be normal, is that what health has become is not at all healthy. So here's a little taste of the new terrain, and in the next video I'll go a lot more into this. But what I want to suggest is that we have the opportunity to step into a whole new foundation from which we move through life that's actually rooted in a reverence for the sacredness of life itself and including ourselves in that reverence. That we really awaken our potential for a life that is just blossoming with vitality, wholeness, ease, and a full sense of aliveness. And that we show up fully for ourselves so that we can show up in service to our collective future, that no longer are those seen as separate things, but that actually the foundation of our service in the world is caring for ourselves. So in the spirit of really starting where we're at, let's take a look at some of the beliefs, that are currently inside of you, whether you're conscious of them or not, because so much of how we move through life is how we're habituated, what we're enmeshed in, the paradigms and lenses that we're looking through that we might not even really know we are until something or someone pops us out of that and we can look at it objectively. So let's do a stream of consciousness writing exercise. So these are 2 fill-in-the-blank exercises. And what I would encourage you to do is to take 2 minutes for each of these. And basically, you'll just be doing a stream of consciousness list of filling in the word that fits in that sentence. So the first sentence being, I need to stick to blank in order to be healthy. And the second sentence being, if only I blank, then I'd be healthy. So there's a subtle difference between the two that I'll talk about after you've done this exercise. But please pause the video now and grab a piece of paper or a Word doc on your computer and just do the stream of consciousness and see what comes out. So now that you've done that exercise, we're going to unpack it a little bit together. So this is, in a sense, me helping to start us off in the conversation around personal sustainability by looking at what it's really not. So I need to stick to blank in order to be healthy. What I would say with this orientation, which again is so common, and I know every time I've offered this exercise in workshops that my participants have absolutely no problem coming up with huge long lists for each of these sentences. So let's look at this first one. I need to stick to blank in order to be healthy. This orientation has us thinking that something needs to look the same over time. So I need to stick to this particular diet in order to be healthy, or I need to exercise every single day for this amount of time in order to be healthy, whatever it might be for you. But what I would posit is that this is actually the opposite of health, because it doesn't allow us room to evolve. If we think that something needs to look the same over time, it doesn't acknowledge that life is constantly evolving and changing. Our priorities change, our bodies age, our interests and life circumstances shift. Everything's always changing. And so if we get rigid around thinking that something needs to be the same, ultimately we're setting ourselves up for failure with a lot of those shoulds, and there's nothing sustainable about that. So then the next sentence, if only I blank, then I'd be healthy. So again, you can put in all the examples that you came up with. But what I would say with this, it's very similar to the last sentence, but the difference is that it really emphasizes our focus on the list of particular things that we come to believe we need to do. And this is where, our culture and our orientation around health and medicine right now is running rampant with all the different things that are oriented around a very particular part of us, and so this really emphasizes the managerial type of way of relating with ourselves as a collection of parts, that we're managing ourselves in a reductionistic kind of way. And this again riddles us with lots of shoulds and sets us up for failure, because we're not just a collection of parts, and we can't orient towards ourselves in kind of that dictating managerial way and think that that's healthy or sustainable. It simply isn't. So what I would posit, just to begin to introduce more of the idea of what is sustainable, is that what we can see from these examples is that to sustain the changes we seek, there needs to be flexibility and adaptability. We do have fundamental needs, yet there's lots of ways to nourish them. So with this, I just want to say, this is actually consciously choosing to have an orientation of health that is evolutionary, that honors our evolutionary nature, that we're constantly changing, and that health and how we relate with health can flex and adapt and evolve right along with us. And that it also honors and embraces our wholeness, that we are a very complex interweaving of all these different dimensions that make up who we are, that ultimately are not separate from each other. And if our orientation to health has the capacity and expansiveness and ground to embrace that, we can relax in. We no longer need to be reductionistically focusing in on managing the particular parts as if they're separate from who we really are. So you may begin to get a little taste now, of this transformative learning journey that we're starting. I gave you a bit of a window there into the new territory, but the next video is really going to go a lot more into that transformation and, in a sense, the awakening into the new territory. But before we really open into that, we need to come to see with clear eyes where we are now. We need to really become present to our current grounding in order to consciously be able to step into a new dimension. And this is vital for any kind of transformative learning journey. You can't just leap into the new territory. It's like you can't give birth to something without going through the gestation period, without actually starting with who you've been before you become something new. So for now, it's time to really get honest and real with yourself. And I have some personal assessment exercises found in the next 2 slides here. And again, this gets to the invitation I put to you at the beginning of the module. What you put in is what you get out. So my encouragement is that you really allow yourself to be brutally honest as you answer these questions. Not in a way where it's at all about beating yourself up, but it's in service to your own capacity to actually come into an orientation that is life nourishing and sustainable for you. To see where you're at now so that you can consciously take the steps to shift it. So there's this first slide of questions, and then, which I encourage you to do first, and then this next one. So with these, go to your journal and take however much time you need to really give yourself over to look with clear eyes and to assess and see what's your current terrain that you're in. And this is going to set you up for the next video, which is going to guide you into the new terrain. All right, I will see you there.